Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, Edric Poon and Company. And today you have with me, or at least we have with all of us, Hao Ming, who is the MD of Hugs Coffee. Now, Hugs Coffee, you've definitely seen around town. You've definitely seen it around the heartlands as well. Now, Hao Ming is not a stranger to the industry. Neither is he a stranger to all of us. Now, you've heard of places like Artbox, the Shilling Night Market, and this man right here is one of the key people that made this happen. Okay, and now he's with this venture for how many years now with Hugs?
As of now, maybe about 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, since 1st of June 2020.
Damn, you see, and the thing is, I mean, a lot of people already know your story because it's been covered, right? So the abridged version is that you moved out of the event space because you wanted to try something new. You helped out a friend for Hugs Coffee because it was only in the CBD.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you said, hey, look, if I'm going to do this, it's go big or go home. I want in and I want all in.
Yeah.
Now, I love that dedication and I think intensity to the approach. But the thing is, like, from the creativity of the event space of bringing amazing, Artbox and Shilling Night Market to Singapore, how did you end up like, what? Okay, first off, why F&B and coffee specifically?
Yeah, right. Okay, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on this podcast. So yeah, I think nothing was really planned for, right? I didn't plan to go into F&B. I didn't plan to be in Hugs as well. I didn't even see COVID coming like all of us, right? It was a huge curveball that was thrown at us end of 2019, early 2020. So it just happened that I left the event industry end of 2019. It was just simply, I was doing it for 4 years, 3 to 4 years. It was rampant in terms of event after event, because beyond just Artbox or Shilling Night Market, I did a lot of other lifestyle events as well together with the previous company. We did like I Like Marina Bay, we were involved in Singapore Night Festival, even Chingay as well. And it wasn't just in Singapore, it was like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong. So I was flying in and out, so I guess a little burnout from it after 3 or 4 years and just wanted to do something different.
Right.
So I kind of left end of 2019 without knowing COVID was coming, so I kind of dodged a
Nobody knew.
Yeah, I just dodged a huge bullet there, right. So I mean, very lucky, and I managed to actually squeeze in some traveling before the whole circuit breaker hit.
That was nice. Where'd you go?
7 different countries. I did because I was like...
How long was this? 7 countries and how long?
2 months. I did solo traveling and also with friends and all that. I just wanted to reconnect again because of the burnout. I just wanted to cleanse, wanted to be re-inspired again. And yeah, so I just did several countries of solo traveling and with friends and all that. Tried a lot of new things as well, and then COVID hit. All of a sudden, right? So I mean, I was really blessed, being able to dodge the huge bullet of COVID with the event industry, as well as even squeezing traveling before we have that whole huge hiatus from traveling and all that, right? So what happened is that during circuit breaker, I think my personality is that I can't just stay still at home and things like that. And I saw that there was a need for help in terms of delivery services. And me being myself, I didn't just want to join one platform because I really wanted to dive into it and just enjoy it, understand the logistic platforms as well. So I joined 4 different platforms to do deliveries. 4, yeah.
Gosh.
I must say, one of the most humbling and eye-opening experience for me. It just felt like you were doing mini goals every day from point A to point B, and it was very satisfying to a certain extent and eye-opening because I got to see different sides of Singapore, right? I got to see how wide the wealth gap is to a certain extent. Something that we don't talk about a lot in Singapore as well. So how did I get into Hugs? It was simply my child friend, Ben. His dad started it. I founded Hugs 14 years ago as of now, since 2008. The first 12 years of Hugs, pre-COVID times, they were mainly in CBD area, in the business area. So you can only imagine during circuit breaker how badly hit Hugs was, right?
Right.
It was dead town, ghost town in CBD. But they had to survive, and coffee was still considered essential service, right? Essential good. So my friend, I think they had a very, very lean team, small team, you know, like 3 or 4 of them only. So because I was doing delivery, as I was saying, I met him quite a lot of times to just say that, hey, I help you to do some delivery lah. I knew I'm sending things. Don't worry about it. You know, FOC lah. Don't have to pay me because I'm doing the trips anyway. As we catch up during the delivery services and so on, he shared me the struggles of what they were going through, and I could see it. You know, even without him telling me, I've known him since like 14 years old. I know that they're struggling, and I know that it's putting a huge weight on him. So as a friend, I mean, I couldn't just like watch this and just say like, hey, doesn't matter, right? It's okay, let him struggle and all that. So I offered to help. I said that, look, I'm free right now. I can come in to help you guys, and I don't know what I can help because I'm not from F&B background or anything, but I can come in and just help whatever I can, be it delivery or marketing or whatever it is, right? Digitalization or so on, because they didn't have all this. They were very much just focused on operations and just churning out a good cup of coffee for the working adults for first 12 years of Hugs, right? So what happened is that, I literally had to beg him to let me join. He was like, no lah, I don't want to get you into this.
He paiseh lah.
Yeah, he paiseh lah. He's super paiseh. He's just like, no lah, bro, I don't want to get you involved into this. You know, it's tough work and all that. It's okay, I can take it. You know, if you meet him, you know, like, he's a big tough guy. You obviously goes to the,
ego kind of thing.
He obviously
right?
goes to the gym like almost every other day. The kind of weak kind. So that's the kind of guy he is, but he's a big softy lah. You know, that's what I love about him. So I have to beg him for 1 month, man. I'm like, bro, every time I meet him, I'm like, just let me come in and help. He's like, hey, I can't afford you, blah blah. I say, hey, don't talk about the pay or this lah, because I can come in and just help you out. Look, I really know you can't afford me. I joke with him now because I know you can't afford me, but I say that this is your best chance already because I'm free right now. I'm not doing anything except delivery. So you'll be helping me. You'll be doing me a favor by helping me kill time as well, right? So after a month of convincing, we finally agreed that he'll let me join to just come in as a freelance ad hoc consultant. You know, we just called, because we didn't even know what to call it. There was no title to it. There was no direction for it. It was just help a friend. Went in there, the first week itself, just first couple of days, I just saw so much potential in this business. You know, they had something good going for the first 12 years, you know, but they also neglected certain things that I felt that could be done right, could be restructured. And I also saw that there's opportunity for transformation because of COVID, right? I saw that like right now, situation is tough. This is a chance to probably redefine ourselves as well, right? So to see what we can do, because you know, in terms of being digitalized, they were nowhere near, what a usual company would have. At least, like, you know, they weren't on delivery platforms.
What were you benchmarking at? Because when you saw this, I mean, just to track back, you had mentioned that you saw potential in this. And what was that potential? There has to be some sort of like benchmark or like a certain visual that you might have had, right? Be it like the big giant American chains or something. I don't know. What were you looking at?
Not necessarily that. I saw potential because I simply saw potential because I felt that, you know, the amount of effort and time was spent for the first 12 years to build this. It's not insignificant. They had like 14, 16 stores back then in pre-COVID days, right? Even then, just after circuit breaker, they still had about 14, 15 stores, right? And that's not easy feat, right? Sometimes you just to maintain a store is really tough, already.
Yeah.
So, and they are loyal customers that I know that, you know, within the CBD area and things like that. And when I drink their coffee and all that, you know, it's a good product. So that's where the potential is. The product is great, you know, and the effort that was put in for 12 years, more than a decade, can't be just wasted like that. You know, this should be amplified. And that's how I saw it. I didn't know where you'll take us, obviously. I wasn't benchmarking to just like Starbucks or whatsoever, but right from the get-go, I didn't see this, because maybe I came from events background.
Right.
I didn't see this as F&B. I saw it, yes, it was good product, it was good SOPs and operations and so on, but I saw it as, you know, from someone that's outside of F&B, I saw it differently in a way that it was a business of social connection, right? Even though social gathering was not allowed for a good couple of years and all that, or restricted, but I saw cafes as a reason to social connect. I mean, the reason someone goes to a cafe is for business meetings, catch up, chilling out with your friends and families. You know, it's always to connect. Or even sometimes you're going there alone is to connect yourself with, let's say, with work, or just to catch up on a book and stuff like that. It's a place where people are comfortable. So then that goes beyond the F&B counter already. It goes in, it just breaks boundaries straight away. Because I saw it that way, because from an events background, I probably saw that there's no difference from an event, I felt. Every outlet is a space, and events also use space to create content.
Right.
And so every outlet is an opportunity to create content, create memories for customers, create
experiences.
Experience. Yeah,
right.
exactly. So that's how I saw it, right? But anyway, I mean, the first week, I was just new in there. I just felt that first and foremost, if I come in a couple of days, it's not going to have significant impact, right? And I realized that coming in just a couple of days, a week, and all that isn't going to help them sustain and scale. And I thought to myself, if I were to do this, it has to be a full-time gig. It can't be just some half-ass thing that like, oh, we just come in as and when and just turn up and all that. I'm not that sort of person. I drew up a plan. I drew up a 36 months plan, 3 years plan, but I broke it down to actually 2 phases, 18 months. I still remember I call it Hugs 2.0, almost like a upgrade in your iOS or something like that. So Hugs 2.0, and I call it a micro ecosystem, because my thought process was to create a micro ecosystem to fit into the larger ecosystem of the world, of Singapore, or even beyond, right? So micro ecosystem of Hugs. How do we create this ecosystem where our stakeholders, our customers, and the different people that we're going to be connected to, get involved in it in some ways, right? So I drew it out in point forms, in different aspects of things, and so on. And I shared with Ben's dad, Ron, which is the founder. So I shared with him on the first week, and I said that if I were to do this, I can't be coming in here and like pouring my heart and soul into this place and not be a partner within it, because I need to know that I wake up for something. Like, that's my character. So he liked what he saw. I think he loved the conversation that we had. I think that's where we went on to try certain things, and I just never left from then on.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is Hugs 2.0? Is it what we're seeing right now, or is this only like 1.2 or 1.3? What are we seeing right now?
We're not done with the 3 years yet. We definitely finished phase 1 already.
Wow, okay.
Right, so definitely I would say we are kind of halfway there. But there's no perfection to things, right? Because even pre-COVID, there's good times. There's really no perfection. Even worse so during a pandemic like that. Hugs 2.0, first and foremost, I saw that Hugs is a great product, like I said, right? So to me, the actual value, it's great. Actual value meaning like when you drink the coffee, you'll be like, hey, this is a pretty damn good coffee, man. Like, and the price point, it's great. That's the actual value. It was good, right? But the perceived value was on the low side. So then perceived value, once it's low, the motivation to go try the brand, it's very low. So give you an example. If you were to walk past Hugs and say Starbucks, a customer will likely to choose Starbucks, not because Hugs is worse off, but only simply because they didn't know the brand. But before you can even raise any awareness, you got to know who you are first.
Right.
A brand is like a person, right? If you don't know who you are, if you can't define yourself well, you're unable to describe yourself to anyone. You're unable to be consistent with your personality. You're unable to style yourself well. And so yeah, I felt that Hugs needed to define itself. Yes, there was pros and cons to COVID, right? The thing is that if you don't work in the CBD or the business areas, you wouldn't have heard of Hugs. So to a lot of people, that will be like, wow, you're starting at a very disadvantaged position. I saw it differently. I saw it as a advantage to us. I saw it as a chance that if nobody knows us, then I can be anyone.
That's a very interesting framing.
I can be anybody because you haven't known me yet.
Correct.
Which means that the first time you're going to see me, I can be anyone.
Right.
I can redefine myself. I can overhaul the entire thing and really dive deep into having, asking ourselves, who we want to be and what we want to do moving forward. So I saw it as an opportunity as that. It's even worse off if the brand is very, very well known and they want to do rebranding.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Imagine if Starbucks ever wanted to sell pasta.
Correct.
For example.
People will flip, right? Because everyone will be like, I'm so used to this branding. I feel so uncomfortable looking at the change right now because people, they don't like change. In general, people don't like change, right? So that's why it's so difficult for people to adapt to the new normal.
Yeah, it's very sudden. That's one
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Right. So first and foremost, we did a whole rebranding exercise. We we overhauled the entire branding. We asked ourselves who we are again. We define ourselves. So that's where we created the new logo, the new color. We did so many focus group during that period of time just to ask current customers and new customers or non-Hugs customers, what would they like to see from a coffee brand? What would they want to feel from a coffee brand? And that's where we came out with the new brand, and we ran a new campaign, and we call it Embrace the Old, Welcome the New. We're not saying that we change our core values. We embrace our core values.
Right.
Why we started Hugs. But we are welcoming the new changes, new normal, new people, new everything, right? Because it's about being flexible. It's about being able to adapt to changes as well. When Ron started this, he wanted to introduce a good cup of coffee to the working adults. Why? Because he saw a good cup of coffee as being almost like someone, a loved one giving you a nice hug. We didn't change that. Till today, it's our mission to uplift people's life. It's our mission to uplift communities and so on and so forth. So that's why our three core values are very straightforward. Out of the three, only one of it is F&B, which is flavor, because we take it very seriously. So much so that we roast our own coffee, we bake our own pastry, we control our own production because we're serious about the flavors. The other two core values is people and doing good, right? Without people, a company is just a shell. There is no vibrancy. There will be no dynamics. So people is so important. And I'm not talking about that's external. I'm talking about even internal, the culture of things. And doing good, as cheesy as it sounds, we're super serious about it. Because I just feel that there's always a better way to do something, about making a better choice, right? It's not about being 100% being a saint, being a savior of the world and all that. It's not about that. It's about making better choices in life. Even for a brand, if a brand is a person, this brand can make better choices as well, right? So we focus on things like youth development, mental wellness, and frontliners, things that are close to our hearts, right? So things that we believe in a lot, and we do a lot of give backs in that. We don't necessarily shout out about it because we just do it. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, it's fine. It's just our personality that we want to do well so that we can do good. Right, so that's what Hugs is about, and that's the entire kind of 36 months plan, where first 18 months was to lay the tracks down, the next 18 months to actually execute and steamroll on these tracks that we laid out. And look, man, we're going to break down many times, we're going to have crashes many times, but it's all about the fun in the journey as well.
Yeah.
Right, it's all about trying to catch all the curveballs that's thrown at us. And some days, and more often than not, you're going to lose. Right, but that's fine. As long as we take steps ahead, to move forward, to move ahead, I think that's more than enough.
I wanted to ask you as well, like, you've got this real knack for, business and strategy is one of them, having a great long-term vision and able to truly visualize something. At the same time, this love for people and love for good. Yeah. All of this, where did this hustle come from? And together with that love of people, was there a certain influence that you had before that kind of molded this?
To begin with, a lot of people, even through this podcast, you wouldn't be able to tell as well, and a lot of people would assume that, first and foremost, my love of people is probably because of I'm an extrovert. But no, if I, when I do so many times during my Myers-Briggs and personality tests and all that, I'm an introvert by nature. After work, I love going home. I love being doing my own stuff and be alone in my own space, right? Alone, but it doesn't mean alone in my mind, right?
Yep.
So it's just like that's how I am. But I think for me is that, for example, this word entrepreneurship, a lot of people talk about it and they use that as well, but I don't know whether they really truly understand the gravity of it. It's a huge responsibility. If you're going to go out there and want to create something new for people, you better do a good job, because it's going to affect a lot of people's life, right? So every day, like thousands of customers come into Hugs, for example, it's you are connecting with them in indirectly, affecting their life to a certain extent. So that responsibility is great. So entrepreneur should be very wary of that. So the first taste, I think I didn't even know it was a taste to begin with. It was like when I was in school, when I was young. I noticed that this is a story. So basically, I noticed that every school has a bookshop, right? And I didn't know the word monopoly and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, the bookshop is like, everyone goes to it because it's the most convenient thing if you are missing something.
Right.
And one of the things among students, among us, or among friends, would be like, wow, very easy to lose calculator in school last time, because we like to kind of steal it and all that kind of stuff, right? Because it's expensive and you tend to lose it. And you go to a bookshop to buy it because last minute you need it for exam or test or whatever for class. And there's a huge markup in the bookshop because they know that you need it and it's more expensive items, electronic items. So I went to Bras Basah and some of these places that and realized the price of a calculator is a lot cheaper out there when you go to like a wholesaler or whatsoever or a supplier. I didn't know all these words back then. I just knew that you can get cheaper. So I thought to buy a bunch of it and a few other things that I think that was quite key inside a bookshop, and started selling them to students that lost their calculator and all that, but at a cheaper price. So I didn't know I was undercutting the market, a small market but that's what it is, right? Pricing strategy and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know all these things, and I even did this school tie rental. Because assembly every week, right? It happens every week, right? That people forget to bring their school tie, right? Then they get punished for it, or they rush to the bookshop to buy it, and then again there's a huge markup there. And school ties, if you buy it from those kind of tailor shop, right, and all that, it's so cheap, right? So I bought a bunch of it. I have a box of it, and what I did was that I started renting them out to students, and it's a rental, right? So it's very cheap. It's easy to buy it, and you won't be owning like multiple school ties. It's very easy. And I didn't even know what it means by deposit and things like that. I just tell them that, hey, you need to leave something with me, like maybe like $5 or something like that, so at least cover my costs and a bit of my time if they don't return the tie. So when they do return it, it's refundable deposit, of course. So yeah, and then all these things were happening, and I didn't even know what it means by distribution channels and all that kind of things. But I knew that I couldn't have, my outreach was just within my own level, right? I was Sec 2, I was Sec 3 that time, and but I have juniors and seniors as well. So I asked my junior to help lah. I said, hey, I got this thing and all that. You guys can promote it to your friends and all that. Not customer. I said, so used to all this word, but back then it's like your friends and all that. Yeah, and that's what happened. So I told them that, hey, promote it to your friends and all that, and help me lah. I take a cut from it. So I didn't know those were called like commission and all that kind of things. And I went on to even sell games, like PC games. Last time was very popular for those pirated games and all that. So yeah, so I used to buy those pirated games. I don't know, is it illegal to say all these things? But it's been so many years anyway. So I bought all those pirated games from the shop, and there's this policy because they're selling games that they copied onto blank CDs,
right?
And sometimes it doesn't copy very well, so you get the 7 days return policy. So I bring it back home. I I copied those games into new blank CDs,
Right.
and every week I'll return the games and exchange for new games and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff, right? So then I started selling the games at school or cheap price, and then I took my earnings and I place it in soccer bets that I know that like almost like 包价 kind of thing lah, like more sure win kind. Odds are not great, but multiplier effect is low, but it's still increasing like 1 to 1.2 times that kind of, like that kind of stuff. Like, it's not much, but it's still something. Yeah, so that was, I guess my first taste of doing something.
Like starting a business. In
Yeah,
that sense,
but I
right?
didn't see it as that. I just saw it as like, how is it that nobody is doing anything about it? How is it that everyone just allows the bookshop to rip us off like that? Somebody got to do about it. I guess I just saw opportunity lah, and that was where it started.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, there's this love for people or like community and all that. So I the thing is, I just feel that in this society that we live in, right? I just saw that we live in this Asian society which is governed by fear. Right? It's a vicious cycle, because when you're a kid, your parents will teach you, reinforce things in a negative manner, right? And it's not their fault, because their parents did that as well, and their parents and great grandparents all did that for generations. For example, it's like, hey, you don't study, after you fail, right, you have to work in like McDonald's and all that kind of thing. I don't know why is it so bad work in McDonald's, but it's like, but they tell you things like that. Or you don't study, then after you fail this, or you don't touch the plate because it's hot, then you have to burn yourself. It's always reinforced with something bad. So the fear to fail is instilled in all of us at a very young age, and it's a vicious cycle. When you become a parent, you also do that to your kid, because that's how you were brought up. That's the only parenting you know, right? And in a high pressure society like Singapore, it's even worse, right? So I have a lot of friends, right, that I'm very privileged. I don't come from a rich family or anything. I'm not one of those. I don't have that, but I do come from a decent, average, hardworking, family. My parents are very hardworking and all that, and my mom and my parents managed to actually put me overseas to Melbourne to study, and it was like hard work, man. They had to like do more jobs and all that kind of stuff. So I was very lucky. But what wasn't the education for me, right? It was actually the environment that I was in that was an eye opener, right? I saw that people live life very differently. That you could make a living without being a doctor, a banker, lawyer.
The traditional
elitist Asian thinking, right? That people could be, in Australia, blue collar workers are more highly, better paid than white collar workers. And you know why? Because they appreciate skill-based jobs, right? Because they appreciate that someone took the time to hone their craftsmanship to provide a service. Right? I saw all that, right? So every time I come back for holiday, right, I come back to Singapore and all that, during my breaks and all that, me and my friends and all that, they are maybe, let's say, working and so on. And I always hear the same thing, complain about the job, complain about their bosses. I mean, who doesn't, right? Then, I'm sure people also complain about me and all that, but it's the same thing. So it's like, they always talk about how they dread the work and all that kind of stuff, right? And in the banks and so on and so forth, there's a lot of politics here and there, and different kind of industry. So I always ask them, like, okay, then why don't you just do something else? Or you have a hobby that I see that you're doing, you're making stuff on the weekend and all that, and it's pretty damn good lah. Why don't you do that? Don't want then risky there. They were like, these are things they'll say. Like, no lah, my job pays well, good paycheck and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, come on, man, you only have one life.
Yeah.
And the amount of time you work in your life is probably like what, 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
right? And it takes quite a bit of years to do one good thing, one significant milestone, great stuff, maybe take about 5 years, 10 years. So you only have a handful of great achievement you can have in a lifetime. Why are you spending it doing lame things?
Right.
Things that you feel dreadful about.
You're doing stuff for other people
Yeah.
and not for yourself.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with working for others.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because to each his own, right? It's to each his own, and it doesn't matter. But if you're unhappy, I mean, look, how often do we go to work? 5 days out of 7
Yep.
days, right? Basically, almost most of your life, most of your time, you'll be spent at work. So why spend most of your time being upset or miserable and dreadful?
Yeah.
Just to say, but people chase this thing, you know, they chase money and wealth, and they chase this thing called financial freedom, but they don't really understand the freedom part.
Yeah.
They don't understand that earning a lot doesn't mean that you're free.
Yep.
You are just you just build a prison cell for yourself to be stuck in that vicious cycle. So yeah, so I mean, all these things I saw that there's a lot of fear and all that. That's why I brought Artbox, from Bangkok to Singapore and all that. Is to create a platform, right, to celebrate entrepreneurship, to celebrate the idea of possibilities, to let people try for just one weekend, Friday to Sunday. I provide the tables and chairs and all that. You, of course, and it takes two hands to clap. You have to show up. You have to pay a small rent, $200-300 for 3 days. It's a very small price to pay, because in business there's always a price to pay. They have to learn that. There's no free lunch in this world. We guarantee the crowd, which you know the crowd of Artbox is mad. But just show up and try. And a lot of brands that start off with just a small little 1.2 meter table with us are today big brands already, or brands that you see in shopping malls. And so these are things like your Machaya, and multiple retail stores, even B2B. You start off pulling a luggage bag to set up at our events. Yeah.
Right, selling out of a suitcase kind of thing, right?
Exactly. If you create a platform to allow people to give it a shot, you show people that it can be done.
Yeah.
Not everyone will succeed, yes. But for those that have the heart to go through it, the commitment to go through it, you see, they do.
Yeah. The important thing is that these are the people who try.
Yeah.
If you don't even take that first step, right,
Exactly.
you will never even
Correct.
have that opportunity. I
Correct.
mean, you've been there, you've done
Yeah.
that, and in fact now you're venturing into something brand new.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
Exactly.
Right?
And I really, I mean, for me, it's so important to break this cycle. Because I can't stand the fact that people live their life like that. Like they just go about doing things that makes them miserable.
Right.
And I wanted to bring people together to try new things. I think we live in a very constipated society.
Right.
Super constipated. Everything you want to do, red tapes here, red tapes there. Like, come on. Like, how do you innovate and be creative if you're going to govern yourself with fear and restrictions all the time?
Right.
You can't be creative about this. You can't invent new things. You can't create new experiences. And yeah, sure, there are a lot of people who will not agree with what I'm saying. There are a lot of naysayers or haters out there. But it is what it is, right? They people are always gonna hate on whatever you do. And when you make it happen, then everyone will start to come to you and be like, "Hey, great job, man!" And congratulate you and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
so you just do it. I always say this. A lot of people tell me that I dream too big. A lot. Trust me. When I wanted to do Artbox, people laugh. Like, how are you going to bring this art market to Singapore? And the best part is, I have zero experience in events. Do I have experience in Hugs in terms of like F&B? No, zero. It's not about the experience, it's about the willingness to learn.
Yep.
The willingness to have open mind. It's the mentality, the mindset. Of course, I read up a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries. I expose myself to a lot of things. It helps with whatever I'm doing, and I understand the why behind things.
Right.
I tell myself to understand it, because in business, if you understand the principle of business, then it doesn't matter what business you're doing, because it's just a content. The principle behind it, the algorithm, the formulas of it, doesn't really differ a lot. And even if it does, if you understand the why, you're able to tear them apart, the formulas apart, and stitch them back.
Right.
It's like math, right? It's like doing mathematics. You understand that why the
Right.
equations are like this, then you understand. Then there's no more difficult, tricky questions
Yeah.
that you can't solve. So that's the same logic, right? So I did all this throughout the years. There are a lot of people that tell me that it's impossible, you can't do it, dream too big, it's crazy, how are you gonna pull this off, blah blah blah, and all that. People laugh at you, especially when I don't look like the oldest person or anything, and people think you're a young
Right.
person, a young punk like that who knows nothing. and things like that. But it's fine.
Yeah, going back to the point that you made earlier on about the haters and naysayers, the those that are saying that, oh, dream too big, or I want to start a business but I can't,
Yeah.
or I don't want to. There's this whole thing of if you've listened to other probably the most famous person on the internet right now, right? He says Andrew Tate is one of them,
Yeah.
which of course he's taking a lot of flack for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing that he's saying, living in the matrix and whatever. So
Yeah.
there's this, I understand the idea behind it. And I find it that in Singapore especially, it's extremely paradoxical in the sense that we've met more than our fair share of people, I honestly think, that blame the system for the way that we are. That there are less and less, or at least there's a less or a lower entrepreneurial spirit among the people because we were conditioned and taught to be part of a very efficient system. So if anything breaks down, the whole system breaks down.
Yeah.
That's completely fine. But the issue here is that we're blaming the system. But rather than that, if we understood the system,
Yeah.
we could game that, we could use that to our advantage and
Exactly.
break out, right? And
Yeah.
you'd find a lot more happier people out there seeking that freedom.
Correct.
But where I find that is paradoxical is that as a business owner, here we are wanting for us to break out of the system, but we need our people to be part of our system to make it work.
Yeah, of
So
course.
the weirdest part here is that as a business, how do we then create opportunities for them to find that, so that while they're part of our system, they
Yeah.
can create their own system as well
Correct.
to break out of that.
Like I said, I think there's nothing wrong with employment.
Right.
Right? Not everyone's built differently. Not everyone is built to lead or own a business or run a business. Not everyone, but some people are built to be a super good developer,
Right.
coder. Some people are damn good with finance. Some people are damn good in marketing and all that. And, it's what's your flair? What are you born to do? And there's nothing wrong. So there's nothing wrong being part of the employment or anything to begin with. So the part where people always say they dream too big, and my reply always is that yeah, sure. A lot of people tell me that I dream too big. But I say that, but maybe you just live too small. So it's not about work. It's not about entrepreneurship. It's about how you live your life. And maybe people are just living too small. And that's why they don't make the full use of their life. So making a full use of life does not mean that you must do your own business. Making a full use of the life that you're here, your time and everything, it's about doing what you love is one thing. What makes you happy is another thing. And more importantly as well, is whether or not what you're doing creating a positive impact. And just because you are working as a graphic designer in a company does not mean you are not creating a significant impact. Because whatever graphics you're coming up with is it's touching the lives of the people who are viewing it as well. And in that way, there is contribution as well. So it's a system. You can't have everyone doing the same thing. So the same goes with COVID as well, right? It's about perspective. People will blame COVID, they'll blame all these things, they'll blame the government and all that kind of stuff. But really, the choices are in our hands. We get to choose how we live. So for me, for example, for COVID, for the example, is that if everyone in F&B, or most people in F&B, are not doing well during COVID, if everyone's not doing well, nobody is not doing well. Do you get it? It's like, yeah, if everyone's doing badly, then nobody is actually doing badly. Because everyone's the same.
Right.
It's level playing field. Right? It's level already. You're all the same. Big boy, small boy, there's nothing. You're just boys. Right? So that's the same logic. And then from there, once you realize that, then you can remold your situation. This is something that, you ask me what inspires me and all that, and why I care about people and so on and all that. There's this saying that a quote from Steve Jobs, right? That I heard in one of the video interviews and all that. He talks about once we realize that we're living in a world where we're using things and integrating stuff that are invented and created by a person, a human being, a person that may not be no smarter than you. He's the same, he's a person also. Once you realize that everything you're using, that you say that is a routine, or is a need to, or a must, or want to do, it's actually created by someone else. It's not really nature or anything, it wasn't magically created. And with that logic, right, with that concept and that logic, right, it means that, right, whatever you're using or whatever life you're in, right, can be broken apart and remolded. If it can be created by someone, you can recreate it. If you can create fear, you can also break it. Same thing. Because you are your own choice.
Right.
You make your choices yourself. Who is to say that? I always ask why not? Because who is to say that you must do it this way? Just because everyone's doing it, you must do it this way.
Right.
Who set this rule?
Right.
Who the hell says that when we have, like, I don't get it. And maybe we'll say that, I mean, you're like too rebellious. But you know what? Shouldn't we all be a little bit be a bit rebellious and ask ourselves, how can we have things better? How to live our life a bit fuller? How come we don't try new experiences? You know, how is it that we just follow what someone else tells us that it should be?
Yeah.
You're living life on someone else's term.
Correct.
So I'm talking about, when you talk about that, right, like you know, being a business owner, you have employees and all that. So like for Hugs, everyone get to choose something that they believe in terms of social causes and all that. Everyone's opinion matters. I think that's the most important thing, because if not, why do you hire them? You brought them into the team because they have value to add. Also, I don't understand, you know, there are bosses out there, they're like, you bring someone in the team and then you dictate their life after that and dictate what their work. I mean, like, yes, you're supposed to nurture them, teach them, or give them, teach them things that they may not know. But you're not supposed to stifle them.
Yep.
But then what's the point of hiring this person? You bring this person to help you, and then in the end, you make this person become just a follower.
Right.
So in this team, doesn't matter whether you're an intern or you're a director, everyone's equal. That's how we do it, right? That's how we do it at Hugs. A lot of things that inspire me, like why I thought about like making sure that we should create positive impact for people. Because this thing, like, people always used to ask me, like, is there a quote from a hero or something that from somebody that inspire you, and things like that. It's my school principal in secondary school.
Okay.
This story stuck with me since that time. I think it was Sec 2 that time. Secondary 2. So it was morning assembly. He shared this story. My school principal at Catholic High. And yeah, so what he said was that a story of a young boy and an old man. So this young boy goes to the beach every day. Early morning, 6 a.m. He goes there, and because the beach is always washed up with all the starfish and all that.
Okay.
So he goes down the beach, right, and he picks up one by one the starfish and throw it back into the sea. Because by midday, the sun is at its hottest, the starfish will dry up and die. But there's thousands of starfish on this beach, right? He goes down there and pick it up and throw. This old man sits under the tree every day, sipping his coffee, hopefully Hugs coffee, but sipping his coffee and all that, and he watches this boy go up and down the shore, picking up and throwing back. Yeah. So one day he just spoke to the boy. So why are you doing this? You know you are not successful every day, right? You know you fail every day, right? Because no matter how many times and how hard you try, right, you don't throw every one of it back. Because there's thousands of it. And plus, every day this happens again. Every day you get washed up again. So why are you doing this? Knowing that you will not succeed. And the boy said this to the old man, right? I know I don't. I know I can't save every one of them. But for every one that I did throw back into the sea, is that one extra life that I helped. And that stuck with me forever, because it's not about saving the world. It's not about helping everybody, because that's ridiculous. You can't. It's impractical, right? Maybe one day, maybe if you have enough capacity, sure. But it's not about that. It's about the fact that if you can help one, that's one extra life that you manage to help, that you manage to actually inspire, manage to change. And that means the world to that one life.
Right.
Right? Because you managed to save that one life. So that stuck with me forever. Right. So and you know what? The story goes on, and it should have went on because it stops at there. From my version is that the old man was inspired by what the boy said, and he started helping him as well. You know why? Because if like-minded people like what we're doing right now, we're great partners, we're great like-minded people working with us as well. Because once you start doing something, and you just keep doing it, and people see you doing it, and you hear about your story, and they're like, oh my God, actually that's true. You know what? Let me help you. Let's do it together. Because together, we'll be able to save double the lives of the starfish.
Agreed.
Triple, quadruple. And then slowly it becomes a movement.
Yep.
Right? And as a community, we might just be able to save all of them. For me, it wasn't easy growing up for me. So that's why I think I'm a little bit different from others because you know I was born with ADHD, and I was never diagnosed until 26 years old. And what I have is really what they call classical ADHD, which is AD and HD. You have both. And it was when I was diagnosed, it was actually clinical ADHD, which means that you're supposed to take medication or supplements or whatsoever to help you. But you know, back in those generation, my parents and all that kind of thing, they don't know what the hell is ADHD, or they just see you as a naughty boy, right? As very hyperactive, very naughty, very whatever, and it's like that. And and for me, I was an introvert as well. I have difficulties, very shy, stage fright. So you cannot tell one right now, because the thing is, because I've forced myself to be in thousands and thousands of meetings, and that's how I can be speaking like that today. But I stage fright last time. I can't present at all. I was shake in front. The first time I ever said thank you to a stranger, not because I'm rude, it's just simply I don't have. I felt so shy to say something like that to a stranger. Was secondary 1 at Bata. I still remember.
Oh, okay.
I was buying school shoe with my mum, and the person passed me the shoe, and I said thank you, and my mom was shocked. I was like, whoa, did you just say thank you? Did you just say thank you to the person, to a stranger? Yeah, that's how hard it is for me. But I think there's some beauty to being an introvert as well. You sit at the back, you just observe people, you watch people, you don't say anything, but you just observe people and how they are. Maybe that's how it helps me to be decent at reading people as well now. But yeah, I have ADHD. I only got diagnosed in 26 because I felt very different from others. But I don't know what's not normal, right? Because this is how I am since I was young.
Right.
So, but I feel like I don't fit sometimes. So I just thought to go and do tests and all that. And then I will say that and when he was diagnosed, I asked the psychiatrist, I was like, hey, then does that mean I need to take medication from now on? He said, technically you don't have to, because you already coped with it for 26 years, where somehow or another you managed to rewire your brain in a way where you took and made it into your advantage. And it's, I was lucky. So I may have been born with ADHD, but I was very lucky to born with a high IQ. And because that's what they did during the testing, and that helped to internally cope. I create a coping mechanism within my brain to rewire it, to cope with this. So it's just interesting, lah. So it just shows to me that with every so-called flaw or bad things that happen, that, sometimes you get good things as well, lah. Just you could turn things around. So there's one thing about ADHD that a lot of people don't know, is that it's this function. So basically ADHD, just give a quick explanation what it is. It's basically a dysfunction, right, in the brain. Most people operate, let's say it's like, they operate 100%, as in they have let's say starting at 100%. ADHD, right, because of your distraction, you so easily distracted, or you have deficiency in terms of attention and too hyper. Your brain is in chaos. It's constant chaos in there. A lot of things happening, which means that your brain isn't functioning at normal, which is, let's say, 100%. Right. I'm not talking about 100% of the brain, but capacity-wise. So it's like maybe at 70%, 80%. So it's they intend someone with ADHD tend not to be able to do well in school and all that, right? Because they can't capture information as well. They get too distracted and all that. But they have one good thing. There's one feature about ADHD that people may not know is this thing called hyperfocus.
Right.
When they get into this hyperfocus mode, they can sit through 8 hours and do miracle work. But that's why people with ADHD do very well under pressure. They're normally late. They can't manage their time very well because they you know, that's how it is. It's like they love pressure. This last minute stuff, right? Suddenly like, oh, shit, I got so many, but they love chaos because chaos is normal.
Because you live in your chaos.
You live within it. It's normal. You were born with chaos in your mind. So it worked very well under pressure because suddenly you see the light through the chaos when you're in hyperfocus. So I think what the psychiatrist kind of explained to me is that I kind of rewired my brain to create a switch in my head for hyperfocus. And hyperfocus normally happen when you're doing things you love or things like that. And yeah, so I guess I kept that switch on all the time now.
Right.
But yeah, I think you know, so I guess like I said, I'm built in a way for business, because in business, chaos happen every day.
Right.
Every day. And I always joke with my friends and even colleagues and all that, I'm nailed down to it already. 4 good days in a year. You only get 4 good days in a year for a business owner. Once every quarter.
My God, that sounds so pessimistic though.
Every other day is crisis, firefighting and all that. And when the definition of good day would be that, there's no meetings, everything goes smoothly, no problems. It's weird. It's the kind of days you'll be even asking your team and all that, hey, really? Nothing happening? Like, okay,
You
no
sure
meeting.
not?
You sure? Like, that's a good day. You go for lunch, a good one, or whatever it is, you have a bit more time to yourself and you feel weird that you have too much time on your hand.
Right.
That's a good day. So that's what it is. So I think I thrive in this environment. I thrive in the environment of so-called entrepreneurship or business because I live in chaos. I just found a way to always have to shine a light through it, the chaos. I enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that I have a lot of different things happening at one go and so on. But that brings me to the point where mentorship, right? That's why I'm mentoring people as well, because I wish I had when I was younger. It wasn't easy growing up because of this ADHD. You just don't feel normal, but yet you tell yourself you're normal because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So now that I can help students or startup founders or whatever it is that needs help, I'm more than happy to out of my own capacity, take time out. And most of the time, what I realize is that people just need someone to talk to, right? And that's why we support mental wellness a lot.
Right.
A conversation with someone can be so powerful that it unravels a knot in your mind, and then it takes you to the next level. And sometimes a lot of people just need that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, mentorship is also part of it is really good listening. And I realized something, that in several companies that they do have a mentorship program. Right. Unfortunately, where it fails is the fact that they're not even taught to be mentors. That's one thing, right? And they've been under the company banner for a long time. I've always realized that a mentor is not somebody who gives you solutions. A mentor is somebody who provides you guidance, options, and also challenges you so that you can grow and you can see your own growth.
Of course.
But it's never one of, the way you did it this time, I think it's not so good. That's like, whoa, hello, that's not mentorship at all, right? And this is what we'll see in many of those things. So exactly. Whoever's listening out there, really, I mean, this has been a fantastic conversation with so many topics, right? From covering ADHD with the hyperfocus bit, which I think is amazing. That you've been able to rewire those things. And we've been going on, and I felt this amazing energy from the moment that I stepped in here the last time already. And to be honest, I thought everybody was just high on caffeine, but no, it's just great, right? And so we've got that. We've got the learning points about being a business owner, starting, making sure you do, you get started with it. And also it's the why, isn't it?
It's the why. That's why I love my job, right? I love what I'm doing, and that's the potential that you asked me about. That's how I saw it. We're not in the business of F&B. We're in business of social connection. We're in business of, we went into production and manufacturing now, roasting our own coffee, creating new things. You know, in the B2B world, we're in a business of commodity because we're moving upstream into agriculture, into farmlands, working directly with farmers to create fair trades as well. And I'm trying to do some stuff with the Web3 as well.
Right.
Because I think we shouldn't ignore that because, like I said, embrace technology. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Very excited of what's coming up. You know, launching our new app in 1st November. You know, for consumers so they could pre-order and do takeaways, do pre-orders and actually pick up. You know, our loyalty program completely integrated in there, so customers have a seamless experience. But that came a long way from not even using Gmail. You know, when I first joined, it was using some. It's kind of like old school server,
right?
Some SG hosting. Yeah, it's like if someone sends you a Google Calendar invite, and you click yes, it disappears in the thin air.
Right.
Like you will never know who you're meeting and when is a meeting. It's that kind of system. And 2.5 years later, we're launching our own consumer facing app.
Right, and that's going to be 1st November.
Yeah, we're in the testing phase. Today is the first day of the soft launch test, and it's actually a joint venture that we did, that we're doing right now with N Financial Group.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sister brand of Alibaba.
Right.
You know, working with them hand in hand to create a digital store, as we call it, a D store, to create this seamless experience and embracing technology, right? Embracing technology as what it is today. And making it more efficient and effective for everyone, including our operation crew, including the back end. Everybody will have a better experience collecting their points, accelerated rebates. There's a prepaid card in there where you can top up and you can buy through the prepaid card, like eSIM card like that, where you get more cash back, you get more points, and so on. And you know, Hugs being the first, I mean, fun fact, right? So Hugs is the first F&B brand in Singapore to be an authorized reseller of Samsung. So you could buy a TV, you could buy a
TV over at your...
and it's the same price as what you're getting, like costs are half in normal.
Very,
but the
very
only difference is that if you're a member with Hugs and you buy a TV with us, for example, you get like enough points to change for 87 or 88 cups of coffee.
Good Lord. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like, why not?
Why not? Why not?
It's more of like, why not? Yeah, you see? So we try to expand the universe. You know, we try to expand boundaries. That no longer you're coming to us for one thing.
Right.
It's the entire ecosystem.
So, okay, this episode should drop
Yeah.
about the same time as the app is launched. So if you're listening to this right now, check your phones, go download the Hugs app.
Yeah.
Go find it. Okay, it's a blue bear. You can't miss it, I
Yeah, you
think.
can't miss it. It's you'll be able to see all the QR code at all the outlets, and you could scan it and it will help you with the downloading. It's not really our own native app. So working at N Financial Group is actually hopping on the different platforms so that even international tourists that comes to Singapore are able to use it. So it's like a program that piggybacks on different platforms. So you can download on Chope and find our digital store on Chope, for example.
Okay.
You can find on Alipay. If you're from Korea, you can find on Kakao Pay. If you're from Malaysia, you can find on Touch and Go.
Nice.
That kind of stuff. It's being an international world community that we are engaging.
That's
Right.
awesome. So
Yeah.
the app is going to be the latest thing that's going to come up, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you're really doing everything to connect everybody. And again, I think I know there's somebody outside there who's waiting for you.
Right.
All right. So if that's the case, that's I've got the last bit that I need to do. Of course, with every guest that we have have the 10 questions or the epic questionnaire that we have to get to know our guests a little bit better. So, Hao Ming, are you ready for this?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure what question it is, but I'm a bit nervous now.
No,
okay,
no.
Ken.
Real quick, you live in chaos, so it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, question number 1. One word that you love the most.
Wow. Possibilities.
Possibilities. And one word that you really dislike.
Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
If you could have a conversation with somebody, dead or alive, fictional or non-fictional, who would that be?
Conversational.
Just a conversation.
Wow. So many people that I want to talk to, but say Batman.
Batman. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's very interesting.
But I want to talk to him and Joker at the same time. I love their mentality, their mindset, their thinking. I don't know, because I don't like fear, right? And one, conquer fear by facing it and becoming it. The other, live in a world where he breaks the norm. He doesn't do it for a reason. He doesn't do it for money or fame. He does it because it's for fun. Right? And I think everyone should have a bit of fun in their life. Right? Of course, don't do illegal stuff, but the logic of it, the social experiment that Joker does, for example.
Right.
It's amazing to me when you watch The Dark Knight and he made people choose between convicts and people at high status or high social status.
Yeah.
And you know, and who are the one that actually is the bad ones, for example.
Yeah.
Or the ones that, you know, are the crazy ones being locked up? Are the ones that are being locked up? Or are the crazy ones that they are the one out roaming around?
Agreed.
Yeah. So I love that. If I can have
That is an amazing dynamic that is very
Yeah.
interesting, and I think that's a discussion. That's a whole new podcast that we got to do another day, right? Because it talks about the philosophies and the the differences or the paradox of justice, ethics, and what is structure in society. Because it's all based on time as well.
Exactly.
So it's really a very fascinating discussion. Well, I digress. The fourth question that we have is, what do you say to yourself in the mirror every morning?
Wow. I don't really say anything to myself. I don't really say anything to myself in the mirror, but I mean, like, I don't like to wake up and think about problems only.
Okay. So
Because then that would be a saddest way to wake up too. Like I said, I think I wake up getting excited because I believe in possibility. It's always a new day to do something new.
And what is a superpower that you'd like to have?
Wow. Reading people's mind. I think like Professor Xavier kind of power is great. Because I kind of want to understand why people do what they do and think what they think, you know. Why is it like that? I kind of just want to understand. It's not because I'm trying to like peep into people's mind and then just like be creepy or what, but it's I really want to understand. I think the mind is a beautiful thing, right? And everyone's so unique in their way of living and thinking. And I think if I can just have a little time to sneak peek into everyone's mind, I think that would be great, because I just be able. It's like a window of a scenery that I would love to stare at and just understand what
That's
goes on.
fantastic. Favorite dish to eat?
Oh, chicken rice.
That was fast.
Yeah, because that's my comfort food, my go-to. I can eat it every day.
Right.
Right. It's simple, but every component of it, doesn't stand out on its own. But when you put it together,
It's beautiful.
it's
Just delicious.
It's a masterpiece when you put it together.
That is true.
And everything complement each other. Oh, I love it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Favorite travel spot or the next travel spot you want to go to?
Well, I mean, I really want to go to Iceland because it's a land of fire and ice.
Oh, okay.
It's so, it's on two different spectrums.
Right.
You know, that's how I love it, right? But I love Japan a lot because of how my OCD, I guess. So I love the way they are so neat and everything. So everyone's so polite, but on the surface only, I guess. Society-wise, it's maybe a different thing. Yeah.
Something in the arts that you've always wanted to do, but you haven't done it yet.
In the art, is it?
Yep.
Well, I love music, so I would have loved to be able to sing, but I can't.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's not that I haven't done it yet, but I can't.
What does retirement look like to you?
I don't think I'll ever retire, because I think it's not about working. I talked about financial freedom early on, and I think it's about doing things that you love and still making a living out of it, and having the freedom of living on your own terms.
Right.
So retirement to me is living my life on my own terms,
Okay.
and that's about it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Last question is, how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy?
Whew. I don't think I need to be remembered as a person, as an individual, but I hope to leave behind an idea. That, like I said, the idea of possibility, I hope to represent that. And people love symbols, so maybe that's why they tag a person's face or a person's name to it. But ultimately, I hope that whatever we create here or whatever I can create in my lifetime is able to extend to as many people as possible, just so that they could break out of fear and just give life a shot. Yeah.
Great. And that is at the end of the questionnaire. Thank you so much, Hao Ming, for joining us for the podcast.
Yeah.
Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who's out there listening,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. And of course, to our guest, Hao Ming, for this week's episode of Edric Poon and Company. Don't forget to grab yourself some Hugs Coffee all over the island. All right, look them up. Check the website, HUGGS. Go look for it and grab yourself a cup, because obviously that's what I did. Okay, so Hao Ming, anything you want to share with our guests before we leave?
I'm sure some of the guests have this burning question, because I've been asked a lot of times, how long's my hair? It's down my back. That's how long it is.
Right. So for hair care tips and all sorts of other things, feel free to hit Hao Ming up on social
for
media.
Find me on LinkedIn. Yeah.
All right. So with that marks the end of Edric Poon and Company for this week. We'll see you next time on the podcast.
Right.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
And that's a wrap. All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.